Okay, so I can't see anybody, so I don't know if you're going to be understanding what I'm saying. So please feel free to speak up if you have any questions. All right, so these are the books. Has everybody downloaded these books yet?
I know I downloaded, yeah, I downloaded the books. I just don't think I downloaded the teacher's guide. So I got to do that so I can see the solutions and stuff too.
Okay. How about you guys, Ainsley and Sierra? Have you downloaded these books yet?
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, I did.
How about you, Sierra?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. So if you go into the actual book, you go over to the introduction and you use the arrow keys to get through this. And then you see the place where it says download student materials. Click on that and it'll download a zip file for you that looks like this, student.zip. And so then when you double click it, it'll open it up and it'll say student resources. And I've labeled mine 2020 because I've downloaded this multiple times. And then, and what this has in it is it has all the different chapters. Like what I'm recommending is that we go to chapter 2.3 and work on this lab. And so you double click this and it'll open up this this lab exercise. And then when you go to the app development with Swift teacher guide, and I'll just go over this again too. You log into the books, and when you go into books, you go into the bookstore and you look for app development with Swift. Make sure you get the iOS 12 edition. And then this one is the app development with Swift teacher guide, iOS 12 edition. So you can download those and then you open them like I'm saying and you go over here. So this is in the same place. So if you go to, this is the app development Swift teacher guide that I downloaded. I mean, that I opened up over there in that library. And then if you go over here, oh yeah, so you can download the teacher materials. And when you download the teacher materials, then you get something called a teacher.zip. And when you double click it, it opens into teacher resources. And again, you have the same structure. You go over here to 2.3 to the lab, only now you have a keynote here. The 2-03 is the keynote presentation, which is similar to the PowerPoint. And then the lab has a solution that you can double click on that'll have the actual answers to this. Now, I recommend that you try and do it first before you check the answers. Only use the answers if you get stuck. But so one of the things, a few things I wanted to point out here, like this playground exercise template is a little bit buggy. And so what we have found is if you try and type anything in the very first line, it'll delete everything above it. So make sure you don't do that. You don't type it in the very first line. And then down here, you have the, where it'll actually run the code. So, and this shows the debug area and this does. So anyway, you can click on this and make it run. So let's just go over this quickly, where it says create a GPS struct with 2 variable properties, latitude and longitude, both with default values of 0, 0. So if you go over here, this app development with Swift teacher guide doesn't really have any information in this section. It really is just a little bit of stuff. So really, for me, the only purpose of it is to, I don't even know what that is. Oh yeah, this is just some examples of how to grade people and so forth. So it's really for the teacher. but so I'm just going to exit out of it. Oh, and I also wanted to mention that if you've got the two playgrounds side by side, the playground that's the teacher playground with the solutions and the student playground without the solutions, they're named the same, so it could be very confusing. You could get confused. So you need to, well, what I usually do is I put them on one side of the screen or the other, just so that I know which one is which. And then, so let's go over to this 2.3, the structures. And you can go through here, and this actually goes through from the beginning a lot of these things that Angela's been teaching us. So you get to this struct definition, and then she talks about creating an instance of the person type struct. So she shows you how to do this, and so that's how that works. But let me just show you a little bit here. So if she says here, or I mean this exercise here says, imagine you're creating an app that will monitor location. Create a GPS struct with two variable properties, latitude and longitude. So here we're saying the name of the struct is going to be GPS, and it's got bars. It's got not lets, but it's got bars, and these are going to be the names of the properties, which are going to be variables, and these are this is the default value. So if you think about it, you're going to go GPS, and then I'm sorry, it's struct GPS, and then open curly, and then do a return, and it'll automatically fill in the closed curly, and then you do a var of latitude equals 0.0, and then a var of longitude equals 0.0. And then she says create a, or I mean not she, but whoever wrote this does create a variable instance. So again, it's a var and it's an instance. And again, this is the terminology that's important when you create a struct. You're just creating basically the template for it, or the blueprint for it. And so that you have to create an instance, an actual thing that is this, and that's how you create an instance. So then you could, you know, if you can't remember how to do that, then you could go over and you could say, oh, how do I make an instance? Oh yeah, here's a let instance. And in this case, because of the way they declared the property in here, you actually have to fill in the name, but we don't have to do that. So what we'll do here is we'll just do a var someplace equal GPS. I think that's it. So that's what that looks like. Similar to how this thing looks down here. And then once we create that, we want to print the latitude. So we type in print someplace, and then we've got this, you know, as soon as you put the dot, it fills in what the properties, potential properties are. And then you print it, and then you can just run the program. And so then it tells you to change the latitude and so forth. So now you have some options for how to do this. But anyway, I think that if you do this, even this whole set of exercises, then you get down to the bottom, and then you go next to the next exercise. And if you guys do all this, you're going to get a feeling for how capable you are at creating this from scratch, because maybe that's what you're needing to do. And the more you can practice retrieving the information that you're learning, the more skill you're going to get at being able to use that retrieval process. And so I just wanted to go through this too, where in the struct definition, they go through the instances, I mentioned that. And then they also show the functions that you can add inside the struct. And then they go through the different types of initializers. The way we did it was we provided just an initializer within the struct in that first one. But yeah, so we created a default value. But there's also member-wise initializers that force you to fill them in. So like this, when you create a var name of type string with no initial value, that's a member-wise initializer, and then you have to fill it in when you call it. You have to pass in the value. And then the custom initializers are these ones where you you actually define an initializer. And then they talk about the instance methods. So that I think it's good to actually read through it and have a reference for that. So I think it'll be really good practice for you to figure out that you know how to do this. So what do you think? Sound like a good idea?
Yeah, I think it sounds like a good idea, and I like that it's focusing on like one area and you can look at it a little closer.
Mm-hmm. How about you guys, Ainsley, Sierra? What do you think?
I agree. I think it's going to be a good idea just to focus in more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because you're saying, I think what you're saying is that the way she introduces it is more general and you're trying to figure it out, but this actually gives you tools to be able to see exactly what it is you're doing. Is that what you mean? Okay. How about you, Sierra? What do you think of this idea?
It's a great idea.
Okay. Okay, so it'll give you an opportunity to practice hanging out in this area because we're building a whole bunch of skills that you'll use, especially when we start to work on classes, which are very similar to this, but a little bit different. So let's plan on doing that over the next week or two, and then have that under our belts before we try and proceed to 11. And also I wanted to ask you, well, I guess if you haven't gotten there yet, you won't know the answer. But, you know, what we're doing here is we're going through this whole section 10, and I created videos for steps, I think steps 1 or 2, I think 2 through 5. So I was also going to do one for this 6, which is to make the story brain more scalable. And that's when you actually use the interesting story that she's got, where your car's blown a tire on a winding road in the middle of nowhere. That turns into sort of a fun game that you'll enjoy playing on the little simulator. So, but it's also useful to look at because the path is a lot different. Like if in this the original story, let me see where she has that. This was a pretty simple story, this one that she gave us. Let me find it. It really just has 2 paths. You either take a left or take a right, and then you're basically done. You only have one other choice. So what a boring game that is. But if you look at the step 6, then it's a little bit more complicated. And it all, you know, because the way it works, let me find my code here just a sec. if you look at this README, for example, here, if you choose choice 1, it's going to go to destination 2. And so, like this is basically 0. And then destination 2 is here, and destination 1 is here. And then this will go to 2. So it's a little bit more complicated map. And when I first did this in the other class, you had a similar thing. I actually made a little paper map so I could see what went where, because she didn't have these choice 1 and choice 2 destination properties in here. But anyway, I think it's still useful to go through this. So I'll leave it up to you whether you want to proceed on the path of working on this particular part of the project, or if you want to dive into the book and go deeper into the how Struct work and so forth, so that you have more of that sense before you tackle watching the videos and going through this on your own. So I'll just let you decide, and we can talk. I'll work on this week and get this other video made for this last piece. So I think that that's a good plan.
Cool. I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope to see you guys next week, and I hope everybody gets all their projects finished. Callista told me she was doing finals, so she's in the middle of studying for a bunch of classes. So hopefully we'll all get to see each other next week. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Gina.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.